Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Podcast Adventures. I'm Michael.
And I'm Sophia. We're so excited you're here with us today.
Sophia, before we dive in, I have to say we're getting closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We're at about 200 now, which is incredible.
That's amazing, Michael. And you know what? If you're enjoying our episodes, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps us reach more English learners like you.
Absolutely. So today's episode is perfect for anyone learning English who wants to sound more natural in real-life situations. Sophia, what are we focusing on?
We're talking about parent-teacher meetings. You know, when parents go to school to talk with their child's teacher about how the student is doing.
Right, and even if you don't have kids, these conversations happen in many English-speaking countries, so it's great vocabulary to know. Plus, the phrases we'll learn can be used in other situations too.
Exactly, Michael. So here's what we're going to do today. We'll act out 3 different parent-teacher meeting scenarios. That means 3 different situations. Each one will show you different ways these conversations can go.
The first scenario is when a parent meets the teacher and gets really good news about their child. The second is when, well, let's say the news isn't so great and the parent feels a bit embarrassed.
And the third scenario shows how parents and teachers work together to make a plan to help the student improve. After each role play, we'll break down the vocabulary and phrases so you can use them yourself.
This is going to be fun and easy to follow, I promise. We'll speak clearly and explain anything that might be confusing. Are you ready, Sophia?
I'm ready. Let's start with scenario number 1. I'll be Mrs. Johnson, the teacher, and Michael, you'll be Mr. Smith, the proud parent.
Got it. So in this first scenario, I'm meeting my child's teacher for the first time, and I'm about to hear some really good news about my son, Tommy.
Perfect. Here we go. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for coming in today. I'm Mrs. Johnson, Tommy's English teacher.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Johnson. It's great to finally meet you. Tommy talks about your class all the time. How is he doing?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Mr. Smith. Tommy is doing wonderfully. He's one of my top students this semester. His writing has improved dramatically, and he always participates in class discussions.
Really? That's fantastic to hear. At home, he's always working on his essays. I'm so proud of him.
You should be proud, Mr. Smith. Just last week, Tommy wrote an excellent essay about environmental protection. His arguments were clear, and his grammar was nearly perfect.
Wow, that's incredible. He's been reading a lot about the environment lately. Is there anything specific he's particularly good at?
Well, Tommy has a real talent for creative writing. He thinks outside the box and comes up with unique ideas. Also, he's very respectful and helps other students when they're struggling.
That makes my heart so happy, Mrs. Johnson. We've always taught him to be helpful and kind to others. Is he keeping up with all his assignments?
Absolutely. Tommy always turns in his homework on time, and the quality is excellent. He clearly puts effort into everything he does. I wish all my students were as dedicated as Tommy.
Thank you so much for telling me this. It means the world to hear that he's doing so well. Is there anything I can do at home to continue supporting him?
Just keep encouraging his love for reading and writing. Maybe you could help him start a journal or find some advanced books that challenge him a bit more.
That's a wonderful idea. I'll definitely look into that. Thank you again, Mrs. Johnson. This has been such a positive meeting.
My pleasure, Mr. Smith. Tommy is lucky to have such supportive parents.
Okay, that was our first scenario. Sophia, that felt so natural and positive.
It really did, Michael. Now, let's talk about some of the key vocabulary and phrases we used. First, did you notice how I said, Tommy is doing wonderfully? That's a great way to give positive feedback about someone's performance.
Right. And I said, that's fantastic to hear, which is a perfect response when you get good news. You could also say, that's wonderful, or that's amazing.
Exactly. Another useful phrase was, you should be proud. Teachers often say this to parents when a student is doing well.
And Michael, you responded with, that makes my heart so happy. That's a lovely, emotional way to show how pleased you are. I also used, it means the world to hear that. This is when something is very, very important to you. You could also say, it means so much to me, or I'm thrilled to hear that.
Great point. And notice how I described Tommy's abilities. I said he thinks outside the box. That means he's creative and comes up with original ideas. is. I also said he's dedicated, which means he works hard and doesn't give up.
Those are really useful adjectives for describing students or workers, Sophia. And when Mrs. Johnson said, "I wish all my students were as dedicated as Tommy," she was giving him a huge compliment by comparing him to others.
Perfect observation, Michael. Now, should we move on to our second scenario? This one might be a little uncomfortable, but it's very realistic.
Yes, let's do it. This time, I'll be Mrs. Chen, the teacher, and Sophia, you'll be Miss Rodriguez, the parent who's about to hear some challenging news about her daughter, Emma.
Oh no, I'm already feeling nervous. But this is important to practice because not all parent-teacher meetings are positive, and parents need to know how to handle these situations gracefully.
Exactly. And remember, teachers aren't trying to be mean. They want to help the student succeed. Okay, here we go with scenario 2. Good evening, Miss Rodriguez. Thank you for making time to meet with me today. I'm Mrs. Chen, Emma's math teacher.
Good evening, Mrs. Chen. Of course, I'm always happy to discuss Emma's progress. How is she doing in your class?
Well, I appreciate you asking directly. I have to be honest with you. Emma is struggling quite a bit with math this semester. Her test scores have been below average, and she seems to have trouble focusing during lessons.
Oh, my. I had no idea it was that serious. I'm so sorry to hear this. At home, she always says everything is fine. I feel terrible that I didn't notice there was a problem.
Please don't feel terrible, Miss Rodriguez. These things happen, and Emma is certainly not the only student facing challenges. The important thing is that we address it now, together.
You're right, of course. I'm a bit embarrassed, to be honest. I thought I was staying on top of her schoolwork. What specific areas is she struggling with?
Mainly algebra and problem solving. When I give the class word problems, Emma often looks confused and doesn't attempt to solve them. She also hasn't been turning in her homework regularly.
Oh, no, that's not like her at all. Well, actually, now that I think about it, she has been spending a lot of time on her phone lately instead of studying. I should have been paying closer attention.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Miss Rodriguez. Teenagers can be very good at hiding their struggles. Has Emma mentioned anything about finding math difficult or feeling overwhelmed?
Not directly, but she did say a few weeks ago that math was stupid and pointless. I just thought she was being a typical teenager, you know?
That's actually a common response when students feel frustrated or lost. It's easier to say something is stupid than to admit you need help. The good news is that Emma's still young, and with the right support, she can definitely improve.
I really hope so. I feel like I've let her down somehow. What can we do to help her get back on track?
First, please don't blame yourself. You're here now, which shows you care. Let's focus on moving forward and creating a plan to support Emma better.
Yeah. Whew, that was intense, Michael. I could really feel the parents' emotions in that scenario.
I know, right? It's never easy to hear that your child is struggling, but notice how he handled it. The teacher was honest but kind, and the parent, even though embarrassed, was open to working together.
That's such an important point, Michael. Let's break down some of the vocabulary from this role play. First, I said, I had no idea it was that serious. This shows surprise and concern when you learn about a problem you didn't know existed.
Right. And when you said, I feel terrible that I didn't notice, you were expressing regret and taking some responsibility. That's very natural for parents in this situation.
I also said, I'm a bit embarrassed, to be honest. The phrase, to be honest, is really useful when you want to share your true feelings about something difficult.
Good point. And as the teacher, I said, don't be too hard on yourself. That's a compassionate way to tell someone not to blame themselves so much. You could also say, don't beat yourself up about it.
I love that phrase, Michael. Another expression I used was, I should have been paying closer attention. That's when you realize you missed something important and you regret it.
And I said Emma was struggling quite a bit and her scores were below average. These are gentle ways to explain that a student isn't doing well without being too harsh.
That's so important for teachers to know, Michael. Oh, and you mentioned that teenagers can be very good at hiding their struggles. That's such a true and useful observation about young people.
Definitely. Before we continue to our third scenario, I want to remind our listeners, if you're finding this helpful, please share this episode with someone else who's learning English. Word of mouth really helps us grow.
That's right. And we're so close to 1,000 subscribers. Every like and share gets us closer to that goal. Okay, Michael, are you ready for our final scenario?
I'm ready, Sophia. This third scenario is all about problem solving and teamwork. I'll be Mr. Davis, the parent, and you'll be Miss Thompson, the teacher. We're going to work together to create a plan to help the student, Alex, improve.
Perfect. This scenario shows how parent-teacher meetings can be really productive when everyone focuses on solutions. Let's go. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Davis. I wanted to discuss Alex's progress and see how we can work together to help him succeed.
I appreciate you reaching out, Miss Thompson. I know Alex has been having some challenges lately. What's your assessment of the situation?
Well, Alex is a bright student with a lot of potential, but he's been inconsistent with his work. Some days he does excellent work, other days he seems distracted or unmotivated. I think with the right approach, we can help him reach his full potential.
That sounds exactly like Alex. He can be so focused on things he's interested in, but struggles with subjects that don't capture his attention. What do you think would work best for him?
I'm glad you bring that up. I've noticed Alex really engages when lessons are more hands-on or interactive. For example, he excelled during our science experiment last week, but struggled with the written report afterward.
That makes perfect sense. At home, he loves building things and working with his hands. Maybe we could find ways to make his other subjects more interactive too.
Exactly what I was thinking. For math, we could use manipulatives, physical objects he can touch and move around. For English, maybe he could create presentations instead of just writing essays sometimes.
Those are brilliant ideas, Miss Thompson. What can I do at home to support these changes?
Great question. First, could you help establish a consistent homework routine? Maybe set aside the same time each day for studying with minimal distractions.
Absolutely. I think we need to create a dedicated study space for him too, somewhere quiet without his video games nearby.
Perfect. Also, I'd recommend checking in with Alex daily about his assignments. Not to pressure him, but to show you're interested and available if he needs help.
I can definitely do that. Should we set up regular check-ins between us too? Maybe monthly progress reports?
I love that idea, Mr. Davis. How about we touch base every 3 weeks? That way we can adjust our approach if something isn't working.
Perfect. And if Alex is having a particularly difficult week, should I email you right away?
Please do. Communication is key. The sooner we address any issues, the better. I'm also going to talk to Alex about setting small, achievable goals each week.
That's wonderful. He responds well to clear expectations. Is there anything else we should consider?
Considering. One more thing. I think Alex would benefit from some positive reinforcement at home when he meets his goals. Not necessarily big rewards, but acknowledgement of his efforts.
I can absolutely do that. Maybe we could create a simple chart to track his progress together.
Excellent. I think we have a solid plan, Mr. Davis. Let's implement these strategies and see how Alex responds over the next few weeks.
Thank you so much, Miss Thompson. I feel much more optimistic now that we have a clear path forward.
My pleasure. Alex is lucky to have such an involved parent. Let's schedule our next meeting for 3 weeks from today.
That felt so collaborative and positive, Sophia. Even though we were discussing challenges, the whole tone was about working together and finding solutions.
Exactly, Michael. This is how the best parent-teacher meetings work, as partnerships. Now, let's talk about the great vocabulary and phrases we used in this scenario.
First, Sophia, you said Alex was inconsistent with his work. That's a diplomatic way to say someone's performance goes up and down, sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
That's right, and I also mentioned he has a lot of potential and could reach his full potential. These phrases are commonly used in educational settings to say someone has natural ability that could be developed more.
Great point. And I said Alex struggles with subjects that don't capture his attention. The phrase capture someone's attention means to make them interested and focused. It's much more natural than saying subjects he doesn't like.
Great point. I also said Alex really engages when lessons are more hands-on. Hands-on is a fantastic adjective that means involving practical experience and physical activity, not just listening or reading.
And we both talked about establishing routines and systems. I said we need to create a dedicated study space for him. Dedicated here means specifically designed for one purpose.
I love how we used touch base to talk about regular communication. That's a really common business and educational phrase that means to contact someone briefly to share information or check progress.
Right. And when you talked about positive reinforcement, that's an important educational concept. It means giving encouragement or small rewards when someone does something good, which motivates them to continue that behavior.
Another useful phrase was clear path forward. Michael, you used that to express feeling optimistic because we had made a plan. It means you can see exactly what steps to take next.
These phrases are so useful, Sophia, not just for parent-teacher meetings, but for any situation where you need to solve problems with someone else, at work, with friends, and relationships.
Absolutely. The key skills here are listening, communicating openly, focusing on solutions rather than blame, and working as a team. These are valuable in so many areas of life.
Now, before we wrap up today's episode, let's do a quick review of all the scenarios we covered. We had the proud parent receiving great news, the embarrassed parent learning about challenges, and the collaborative meeting focused on planning improvements.
Each scenario showed different emotions and different types of conversations, but they all demonstrated respectful, honest communication. Whether the news is good or challenging, the most important thing is that parents and teachers work together for the student's benefit.
And remember, if you're an English learner, these vocabulary words and phrases can be adopted for many other situations. The expressions we used for giving compliments, expressing concern, making suggestions, and planning next steps, you can use all of these in different contexts.
That's such a good point, Michael. Language learning is all about taking what you learn in one situation and applying it to others.
Before we say goodbye today, I want to mention that we've created a free PDF with all the key vocabulary and phrases from today's episode. You can find it in the description below this video. It's completely free.
Yes, and that PDF includes example sentences and extra practice exercises. We put a lot of work into creating helpful resources for you.
Speaking of resources, we're still working towards our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Right now, we're at about 200, which means we need 800 more amazing people like you to hit that subscribe button.
If this episode helped you learn something new about English, please subscribe to our channel. Also, hit the like button and share this episode with anyone you know who's learning English. It really makes a huge difference for small creators like us.
And don't forget, we have tons of other episodes covering different real-life situations. There's one on screen right now that you might find interesting. Click on it to keep learning with us.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today on English Podcast Adventures. Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, every conversation is a chance to improve your English skills.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep adventuring with English.
Bye, everyone!
Bye!